Good afternoon. We are here today to speak with Mr. Johansen Kahatano about the state of the electric car industry in Tanzania. Mr. Kahatano, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you, Mark. You're most welcome.
My first question is, how do you see at this time the situation, the electric car market in Tanzania? What's the situation at this moment?
The situation was still at a low level stage, though that's the direction I think as a country we want to take for some good reasons. First and foremost, it's on cost reduction in transportation, and because right now the fuel prices are going up now and then, but again, and that's part of our duty as a regulator, is environmental preservation. And like the world was heading now, that going to migrate from the use of fossil fuel to alternative energy like gas and electric vehicles. So as a country, or also the regulator, that's the direction we are now trying to take. And so speaking now, as I said earlier, we are still at a lower level. And right now we have one institution which is now converting the motor tricycles from using fossil fuel or petrol to use electric gas.
You mentioned that Tanzania is the leading country in East Africa concerning two-wheelers and three-wheelers, electrifying these type of vehicles. But with four-wheelers, with electric cars, there are very few at the moment. So what do you see as the stumbling blocks for that market to develop also?
The stumbling block, I think, so far I don't have a clear policy on electrification of vehicles here in our country. That's reason number one. And in the environment we have no policy, even the awareness to the stakeholders it becomes a bit cumbersome. See, but as a regulator, but with other partners, we are now trying to mobilize ourselves to see if we can come up with a policy and to convince the government that this is the direction where the world is heading, and we should not be left behind. So speaking, I've said that even we have there's some sort of technology which is now converting the three-wheelers from petrol to electric. I don't know the exact number, how many units are being converted so far, but also the Dar es Salaam bus transit, that in phase 2, which is from the center to Bagara, they are planning to deploy electric buses, which is over 300 buses. Those will be completely electrical buses, scanner buses. So that's going to be a very good beginning as a country. Having a fleet of 300 buses, big buses, using electricity. See, so that's the initiative which is ongoing now. And again, with the support of United Nations, we have the e-mobility initiative, but also this is concerning the three-wheelers, and which are mainly for serving the last mile services. So that people will be transiting now from the BRT services, can get another services by using the electric motor cycles, so that they can get to the destinations. So those are transit services, which is being championed by DAT right now. So these are initiatives which are now ongoing. But back to your questions, our barrier as a country, I think, is a lack of policy on this initiative.
So, do I understand correctly, or did I understand you correctly, that you're in the midst of drafting a policy concerning electric cars?
We haven't started yet drafting the policy, But we as the regulators, because I've already told you, one of the duty as a regulator, as LATRA, is to preserve the environment in the transportation sector. You see, and our intervention in this particular area is to come up with alternative energy transportation, which is utilization of natural gas and again electrified motor vehicles. And this year, it's part of activities which have already started now, engaging with the DARSA Institute of Technology to see where we can bring together other stakeholders so that you can go together as institutions to commit the government that now we need to migrate now to electric vehicles or even now using natural gas.
Right. Is there a timeline? You're saying you're working with those?
Yes,
with those
the timeline for us, because it's an activity which are planning to implement this year, this financial year, meaning from June this year to June next year. You see, so it should be implemented. I can assure you, because it's a commitment, to the government. That's one of the things which we are going to do, and we will do it. So we have got made several meetings with our stakeholders, and I believe even next month, December, we have another meeting. We will be meeting with the stakeholders, so that by the end of this financial year, at least we have a clear direction. If we are now going to formulate a policy, which institution will be custodian of that policy, and all that.
Do you think it makes sense to set targets like many countries have concerning electric vehicles, for instance, China or Britain, where they say we want to have a certain percentage of the car market turned into electric vehicles, or yes? Do you think such a target will make sense for Tanzania?
Indeed, it will make sense, though we cannot compare ourselves with the first world countries like China, like you're saying, even Britain, because those countries have the capability to even manufacture their own vehicles. You see, we are only depending on importation of vehicles, and our economy as a country, but even our people, is not as big as our colleagues in the first world. Okay? That's number one. But having a target, I think that's a proper way of doing things. You see, even if our economy is not as good as the Chinese and the British, but we should set targets. Can it be a longer one, unlike the others? But we should have targets so that you can see how much you're progressing and if we have achieved our goals or not. If you can maybe put some effort in which area and so forth. So the target is very important.
There was a report published this March from the Africa E-Mobility Alliance,
yes,
assessing the state of the electric vehicle market in Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
And in this report, several hurdles were mentioned, or several recommendations were formulated.
Yes.
One of them being to lower the tariffs for the import of electric vehicles and electric vehicle parts. Do you see that also as an area where there has to be action taken?
No, I think that should be the proper intervention, but not I'd like to put in place kind of incentive for people to migrate from these conventional vehicles to electric vehicles. But again, that will be defined by the policy of the nation. So speaking now, we have quite a number of motor tricycles, which are not electrified motor tricycles, but they are not registered as vehicles because they're just in between. You see, and we have been having a discussion with the Revenue Authority, which is the custodian of registration of vehicles, to see how this vehicle can be accommodated. They are moving, they're operating the road, but they do not operate numbers and so forth. You see, so these are areas which I think the policy will define. But even before going to the policy document, we can also go back to our regulations to to see if they can make amendment or improvement to accommodate those new coming facilities like those electrified motor tricycles.
For the electric vehicle market to flourish, there also needs to be a lot of charging possibilities, and not only over the grid at night, but also over with charging stations.
Yes.
And for electric cars, if I'm correct, there are only 2 charging stations at the moment in the country. So, are there any plans from your body or from the governmental bodies to expand the facilities? Is that one of the goals?
Yes, and under e-mobility initiative, which is meant for motor tricycles, electronic motor tricycles, and it's financed by the UN. The plan we add is to have 3 charging stations. You see, though we haven't said yet where they will be located, but that was the target to start with for motor tricycles. Is to have those 3 charging stations with the capacity of charging maybe up to 10 motor tricycles that you go. See? So that's I think it's not a good beginning, but it's a beginning.
And for electric cars, is that also
no?
planned?
For electric car, we haven't gone that far. We are still now at a low stage, as I said earlier. We're now just trying to see how we can manage the motor tricycles. See, converting them fast, even those which have been imported already, to see how we can accommodate them in our station systems, operations, and so forth. See, so the initiative which now is ongoing is to provide the service, last mile services, from BRT services to will be exiting BRT, see if we can use electric motor tricycles to their destinations. See? And those are the ones which are targeting now in this plan of those 3 stations with the capacity of charging 10 motor tricycles at a go.
So, if I may summarize your words, you're saying the priority at this point is the electrification of tricycles,
yes.
And buses, and cars is of a low priority because the other needs are more pressing.
Yes, I cannot. I agree with you, but not full agree with you. Not low prices to other vehicles, but what we've already started now. See, we are now working on motor tricycles. You see, for the purpose of saving the last night, people will be exiting the BRG. But again, under phase 2, that is planning to import over 300 buses, electrified buses. See, so this will be only for BRT. But what you are now lacking in the nation is policy on this aspect. As I've told you, we have already tricycles, electrified tricycles, which have no registration number because our laws does not recognize those units. See, we are now working with TRA, with the Revenue Authority, to see how those which are already imported, how they can be accommodated, or maybe by changing the regulation of the law so that you can have them in normal services.
So you're also saying that norms that are actually too low, that there are more electrified vehicles than appears at first sight because many are not registered.
Not motor vehicles, tricycles.
Yeah, tricycles. Excuse me for being imprecise.
It's tricycles. There are several of them. Like I don't know the exact numbers because they're not registered. Even yourself can just import it and then bring it by the country it's using it. They're not registered by the relevant authorities.
Okay.
That's what we are. And it was our initiative. We invited the Revenue Authority and they treated the problem in the police that we have this we have this new product in the market, but the law does not recognize those vehicles. What can we do? So we'll be having a next meeting in next month, December, to see the best way to approach it. But we as the regulators, we think we should now think of amending the regulations so that we can recognize those electrified tricycles.
Okay. Could you maybe at the end try to make a prognosis 5 years from now? How will the situation look in Tanzania concerning tricycles, motorbikes, buses, and cars that are electrified? How big are the numbers? And will you be happy if you achieve that vision or that
as a regulator, because we as a LATRA, we are regulating two main aspects of regulation. We are regulating the economic aspect of our operations and the safety aspects. So as far as economic aspects concerned, it will be our pleasure if we have all vehicles which are electrified, because that's going to bring to lower the costs and substantial operating costs. Number one. Number two, I've said earlier that our duty also to make sure we preserve the environment in the transport sector. So that's going to address the environmental problem completely. So our dream is to have all vehicles electrified, and if not, even maybe converted from conventional fuel to natural gases. See?
So that's your dream, but what is realistic? Could you maybe try to also make like a realistic outlook? What do you think will be how the situation will look 5 years from now?
I think maybe 50% of the vehicles will be already converted, or even migrated from utilization of petrol or diesel to electric or natural gas. Because right now we are now implementing our 5-year plan, which ends in 2025. From there we will have another 5 years plan. So I think with the BRT intervention or that intervention, where the plan to import over 300 units electrified buses, to be going to be a very good beginning. I think even other operators maybe will be able to learn from the Dutch. See, so our efforts to convince people or to convince the government might be a bit easier, because they'll be seeing what is happening already with the BRT services.
But if you're saying 50%, you mean the BRT services? Or
no,
what do you mean by
not the BRT, because I'm saying our plan, further plan. And again, what I want to caution you, when we talk about vehicles, we as regulators, we're not regulating private vehicles. We are regulating only commercial vehicles, meaning these goods carrying vehicles, passenger vehicles. See, now including those motorcycles and the commercial motorcycles and the tricycles. See. So the big number of private vehicles is out of our mandate. So I'm talking about the vehicles which are liberating. So the goods carrying vehicles, but also those passenger carrying vehicles.
So those kind of vehicles that you oversee, there your target is 50% either gas or electrified in 5 years.
5 years.
That would be a realistic goal. That is a realistic goal in your view.
Yes, I can't tell you for sure, because we need first to have a policy in place. That's my view, not LATRA's view. You see, and I've told you actually this financial year we have a plan of initiating those efforts. We have already initiated, and we want by the end of this financial year, maybe coming next June, to have a clear direction where our policy is going to be housed in the like that.
Okay, so thank you very much for taking the time, Mr. Kahatano, and we are all very eager to learn about that policy that's being drafted this year. So thank you very much.
We appreciate it, Mark. You are most welcome, and I appreciate for in innovation you're making, you're doing. It's give us the energy of moving a bit faster. You're really pressing out to set the targets, you see. And I think in the next meeting, when we come, we'll meet with our colleagues from other associations. We'll try to think about that, setting targets within 5 years, and see where we'll be in that period.
Thank you.
You're most welcome.